Hello everyone and welcome to the Gooner Factory. So Arsenal score 6 in the Champions League. This was the type of performance that brings credit to the fact that Arsenal are one of the favourites to win the Champions League. So I'll be talking everything that was good about that. But first we'll be looking ahead to this weekend's fixture against Wolverhampton Wanderers. So let's get into it. So after that unbelievable performance last night, we'll look straight ahead to this Saturday's game against Wolves, which is another home game against a side that are actually pretty decent this season. Don't let their league position fool you. This is a team that has been seriously affected by VAR. They've been on the receiving end of some of the worst VAR mistakes this season. If we look at their most recent results, you will see they have lost to Fulham 3-2 in a game that they should really have won. They had penalty shouts refused, they had 2 penalties given against them, so they will feel seriously hard done by. So before that game, they beat Tottenham 2-1, but a couple of games before that, they drew with Newcastle, beat Bournemouth. Before that, they drew with Villa. Then before that, they beat Man City. So this is a team that is more than capable of getting a result against teams that people are saying they're some of the best teams in the league. So they currently sit 12th in the table, but they should definitely be higher. So we can't take this game too lightly. Now, if we turn up and put on a show like we did last night, then forget about it because the game's wrapped up. But this won't be a 6-0 blowout. They like to play 5 at the back, and that allows their wing-backs to bomb down the flanks so they can be dangerous on the counter-attacks against us, a team who likes to commit fullbacks in attacks. So in terms of their danger players, I think there's a couple of solid players in their teams. The striker Hwang, he's quick, so there's something to definitely keep an eye on. And like I mentioned, their wing-backs, Semedo and Aït-Nouri, they can be tricky. They've had games at times where I've watched them and thought, oh my God, these boys are unbelievable. They're solid enough in defence as well. Like players like Kilman probably being the best pick of the bunch. But my favourite player on their team is Matheus Cunha. I've watched him a couple of times this season against decent teams as well. And he's been the best player on the field. The way he carries the ball from midfield to attack, and he kind of does these turns where it's like the ball's stuck to his feet. He's kind of like showing it to the defender, but it's just out of reach, like enough to the point where they can't do anything about it. I really like watching him play, and I think he will eventually get a move to a big club very soon as well, because someone is bound to pick him up. So in terms of Arsenal, what I think we'll do, I think our attack will be slightly different. He played Martinelli for 96 minutes yesterday, and he was, I think, the only one who played the full game out of our attackers. So my hunch would be that he probably gets rested. He brings Trossard in on the left wing. Jesus probably has to keep playing as well. We'll speak about him a bit more in the next section. Saka as well, he was brought off and rested, so he'll be good to go for Saturday. And in terms of midfield as well, Rice was brought off, given a little bit of a rest, so he'll probably start. And defence, both fullbacks were brought off, so the game probably couldn't have gone any better in terms of we wrapped up the win in about a 20-minute period. So second half comes, you've won the group by a mile, and then you can make 5 subs to give some of the players a much needed rest. And it was great to see Ben White back yesterday. He was given about 15-20 minutes, probably still not up to the level where you would want him to start in the next game, but you don't have to, especially with how well Tomiyasu played. I mean, come on, this guy's a joke. That assist yesterday that he played to Martinelli, I mean, maybe it could have been slightly fluky, but I'm still giving it to him. If that was intentional, that's one of the best assists I've seen in years. But not even just that, he barely put a foot wrong. He's so good, and no wonder teams like Bayern Munich are stiffing around him. He's a solid player who can play anywhere across that back line. So we need to give him a new contract like yesterday. We need to keep him. So he starts against Wolves for sure. So in terms of score prediction for Saturday, I'm going to go with a 3-0 win. I'm feeling confident. Hopefully the team is too. And I'm just looking forward to seeing if the momentum carries through into the Premier League. So let's talk about last night. Oof! What a performance from everyone. It's so hard to pick individuals out when you win 6-0 because it takes such an effort from like everyone on the team to get to that scoreline, especially in the Champions League. So I'll give a quick word on the players, starting with Raya. He didn't have too much to do, but kind of done what he had to. It still doesn't look to me, though, like he's playing with 100% confidence. But hopefully, the more he plays and realises, look, there's not a battle anymore with Ramsdale for the number 1 spot. So hopefully, he kind of relaxes into that position and just plays like he did with Brentford last year. Tomiyasu, we've spoken about him. Unreal. The centre-backs, Saliba and Gabriel. I'm running out of ways to describe these two. They are performing at such a level that I don't think any other partnership in world football is. That's why, for me, they are the best centre-back pairing in world football. And people might turn their nose up at that, but listen to this, right? The least goals conceded in the Premier League this season, only 10 goals. Joint second least goals conceded in the Champions League so far this season, only 3 goals. And these two are the reason. They are the rock of the Arsenal defence. They are the constant at the back. When others are like pushing forward, pushing further up the pitch, these are the two that are holding down the back line. And they complement each other so well. You have Gabriel, who's the more like dominant in terms of aggression and spite. And he's the one that does the talking and organising. Then you have Saliba, who's the more athletic of the two, the bigger, the more composed. You have Gabriel, who's first going to attack the ball. And if he doesn't get it, you still got to get past Saliba anyway with his pace and size. So it's just a perfect duo. And they are playing in the best, strongest league in the world, and they've conceded the least goals. So that tells you everything you need to know about how good these two actually are. Zinchenko, brilliant. Rice, brilliant. Havertz, 2 goals in 2 games. Say what you want about why did Arsenal buy him, but if he keeps scoring, it doesn't matter because he's doing what he was brought in for. And then the attack, Martinelli, Saka, 2 of the best young wingers in world football. Check their numbers, check their stats. These are no longer players with potential. They're delivering week in, week out. Gabriel Jesus, when he plays like that, there's not a striker in world football that I would swap him for. And I genuinely mean that because he's got his goal tonight. But it wasn't just that. It's the way he turns, the way he shimmies and dummies the ball, then lays it onto someone else. He strings it all together. He's like the conductor. He knows where everyone is and he always plays the unselfish ball. He waits for the right moment to do everything. He just like downloads the game at a higher pace than anyone else can understand it. The way he took his goal yesterday where he's dummies the shot, he's got like less than a second to get to the ball, let alone think about dummying it, and then he brings it onto his stronger foot. The goalkeeper had no idea he was dragging it back. The cameraman had no idea he was dragging it back. The defender certainly had no idea he was dragging it back. He's still sliding now. He's halfway across the English Channel. He's halfway home. So when Jesus is on this type of form, I don't want anyone else leading that Arsenal line. I don't want Tony. I don't want Vlahovic. I don't want Osimhen, but he needs to keep fit, or Arsenal, they're going to have no other choice than to search out these options. So we had 6 different goal scorers in one game in the Champions League. I saw a stat saying that 5 different goal scorers at half-time was a record anyway. But I just want to mention something else. What a class touch from Odegaard, by the way, giving that penalty at the end to Jorginho. Odegaard could easily have said, nah, boys, this is my one. But as the captain, he knows Jorginho missed one midweek for Italy. So he stands there with the ball in his hands, and everyone just thinks, this is Odie's. But last second, he gives it to Jorginho, no pressure, slot that home, mate, boom, 6-0, there we go, laters, we're done. Look, if I'm being honest, I'm still buzzing off that performance. But let me know what you think. What are your thoughts on the Wolves game? What's your thoughts on the Champions League drubbing we dished out last night? Thanks so much to everyone watching and listening. I do appreciate if you could just quickly hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll speak to you all in tomorrow's video. Gooners, have a good day.